get straight into it. So
let's do it. Let's do it.
So thank you again for allowing us to be here. It's not every day we get to be a part of, or at least see firsthand, top 10, one of the most prestigious programs in the nation, and just overall amazing program. So thank you again for allowing us to come here. Let's start with how you got here, because I feel like that either can be a loaded question or a straightforward question.
I mean, it's a pretty straightforward. I've spent a lot of time here. I was a student here at Harvard. I graduated in 1995, so I was a kid from Ohio.
Okay.
Who, got recruited, took some visits, went to Notre Dame, Northwestern, UCLA, and picked Harvard. I really fell in love with the coach, Dave Fish, and the school and the community, everything that Harvard stands for in terms of excellence on and off the court and in the classroom. And so it was kind of a perfect fit. And I just, as soon as I walked around campus after the first day, I'm like, these are my people. I really get the vibe here, and everyone's very hardworking. Everyone's really motivated. You're surrounded by people who have passion and that are pursuing it at the highest level. Whether that was when I was here, Matt Damon was a student here, or somebody else was a famous violinist, and somebody else was a famous jazz musician, and so it really was a great fit for me. So I came here and played professionally for about 4 years on tour. Was a good doubles player and traveled all over and got a chance to really see the next level and get a window into that. And then I came back, actually went to grad school for a couple of years and sort of I wanted a little time away from tennis because I'd sort of been my life and was really happy to have a break. And then a volunteer spot opened up, and I sort of helped while I was in grad school, and then moved into full-time kind of as an assistant. And that was, I don't know, probably 17 years ago now, or 18 years. So it's been a while.
It's been a while, but at the same time, you've grown this program to continue to shine and to really just put a stamp on Division I tennis, not only on the court but off the court as well, and that we've learned that in the past 2 interviews we've done. So for you, when you first started coaching, what was your philosophy like as a coach, and how has it changed over the years?
Well, geez, 17, 18 years ago when I first did the coaching business, you're a sponge. You're trying to learn as much as possible. I definitely think that the playing on the pro circuit was helpful to some degree, but then and that sort of experience and exposure does help build up your sort of knowledge base. But coaching's a different ball game than playing, and it really did take me some time to make the shift and really understand what's involved, and then being able to be a coach that can really work with each individual player from their game and where they come from, instead of sort of putting my stamp on it and saying this is how you have to play. Really sort of making sure everything was tailored to the player's game and what they needed. So I definitely think I had to learn a lot in those years, and I definitely spoke with a lot of great coaches, took a lot of notes, had a big coaching journal, read a lot of books, and it really helped me sort of get up to speed, and seeing there. So in terms of coaching philosophy,
Today's video is sponsored by the Universal Tennis Power Subscription Service, which allows you to see every decimal of someone's UTR rating when you're playing them to get a better understanding of where they are in terms of level. The Power Subscription is not just for looking at numbers, it's also for great discounts on amazing companies like Fabletics, like Tennis Warehouse, and many other companies. Now, you can check them out using the link in the description below.
Certainly, you want to meet the player and get to understand them as a person, and build the trust. And tennis, certainly the big emphasis certainly for us has been on tennis as a movement game, and sort of speed, stability, strength. You can't spend enough time doing that kind of work. You see that the best players in the world are the best movers, and so how do we help coach that, or how do we improve that? And if you can get a little bit better, week after week, year after year, especially these 18-year-olds coming in, their bodies are changing, and you can really build them up. So we've invested a lot in terms of their movement. We've invested a lot in the mental game. We have a wonderful, mental coach that we work with as well.
Fantastic.
That really helps build consistency and performance. And then, certainly, helping players understand their game identity and what gives them the best chance to win. What are the patterns that they need to play to give themselves the best, chance? So, probably those three things have been a focus for me.
And you touched on it. I like how you said you're just a sponge at the beginning, and learning from other past coaches and learning from your peers was there a common theme that you've learned from them, or was there one piece that all the coaches said to you that would help you in the future?
Usually you're picking up little bits and pieces. You're getting windows into, their thinking. It might be a recruiting tip from one coach. You can see a culture fit from somebody like a Brian Shelton and what he does with his program, and talking with other sort of mentors and other people and seeing how they do it. I think, that's the beauty of this game. There's lots of different ways to do this. I think there's different styles, even in coaching. And, you see what, the Peter Smiths and the Brian Bolins did in terms of building those powerhouses and building that community. I think you just picked little bits here and there, and that we call that R&D. You replicate and duplicate what other people are doing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay,
so for you, because I was about to ask, how do you keep a program so consistent? How do you keep it so successful year after year and develop the kind of a different mentality, but also the same mentality as well, to have the best result every single season?
I mean, it's just a lot of hard work and good recruiting. It really comes down to the players and their buy-in. I certainly think that we strive to help have our students really take ownership of this process, and when people take ownership in it and they sort of make it their own, I think they're more invested, and that's been very helpful. I think so. We're really constantly putting more on their plates and having them build up their sort of muscles, and so that's one of it. I think it's certainly recruiting is important. I think certainly a place like Harvard is a great fit with a great school and a great program. So we're trying to attract those top players, and then people see our students getting better, and I think that that's also helps in the recruiting process, is knowing that players are advancing and they're really being able to accomplish their goals and dreams here at Harvard.
Yeah, and I was with that recruiting process as well. Is it easier or harder to recruit at a place like this?
I think it's both easier and harder, because it's harder just because there's the pool of applicants that you're looking at very small.
Yes.
That can do the tennis at a top 10, top 15 level, and being able to be a student here at Harvard and really embrace that and get the most out of it. So you're looking at a small pool. Yeah. I certainly think in that pool, we've been quite successful, and that sort of is our target, sort of the bullseye there. But it's small, and I think more and more players now are sort of, as juniors, lured to pro tennis, and then some players are now, downshifting in their education as young kids, and so that probably makes the pool a little bit smaller.
Please subscribe. Thanks.
For you, when you recruit someone and you want them to stay there for 4 years, do you buy into the 4 years at one school, or do you tell them you can stay for as long as you want?
I mean, this has not really been much. I don't think it's been as big an issue in college tennis. I mean, there's been, Ethan Quinn wins the NCAAs, he goes pro. James Blake was the #1 player in college tennis. He was here at Harvard, he went pro. And so I don't think that's, most of the college tennis players out there. If you start winning challengers, you're moving up the rankings there. You did what Ben Shelton did. It's clear when you're sort of ready for that next leap. So that, I don't think that's as big a thing in college basketball, where everybody's one and done. I think here, you get an opportunity to grow and keep going. And then if the results are there and you're showing that you're tour ready, I think that a few of the top players are turning pro, but they're also making us proud on the circuit. I mean, all those players have done super well.
So do you think if players have that potential right out of high school or whenever they're done with their academics, do you think they should go to college and do their 4 years and try it? Or do you think, well, I feel like your answer is pretty straightforward with this, but do you think that there's it's better to go to college and develop for 4 years, or do you think they should try it?
Everybody's got their own timetable and their own thing. So I mean, listen, at the top of the top, I mean, if you're, winning rounds on the tour, and you're top 200, you're ready.
Yeah.
So I think some of this is just, based on it's a results business, and your results tell you where your level is. There's no hiding from it. If you're that. So that's usually the biggest determinant.
Yeah, and for you on the court as well, if we get into your on coaching, with your guys, how do you like to approach each player on the court, or what's your coaching style once you're on the court during a match?
I mean, we've developed the language over the course of the year. The coaches and the players, they're coming up. They're also involved in that process, and sort of what they need to remind themselves. What are their key phrases? What are their key shot patterns, and it's often just reminding players of what's working, what's not. Every once in a while, they get a little lost in the match, and you're sort of reorienting them. Oh, hey, listen, that wide serve, he's serving and volleying on your wide serve. If you're chipping the forehand or whatever, there's tactical sort of reminders. But mostly on court on match day, I mean, hopefully you've done the work, right?
Yeah.
And you've built up that vocabulary and the trust, and it's often just reminding people to get sort of back on route. So we're not like every point calling plays out, because I think, if you also want to get ready for the next step, you've got to be able to sort of put the points together, but we're there, to help and to monitor.
Yeah, and when you develop that problem solving kind of equation for them, does it take long, or like you said, it takes a couple years to kind of develop your own language with your own players? When they first get here, what's that transition period like for you as a coach or as a mentor to some of these guys?
It takes a lot of conversations, offline conversations, talking with their junior coaches and understanding what is their makeup, how do they respond, what kind of learner are they, what kind of students are they, and then asking them. It does take time. You just don't walk in and all of a sudden have the lexicon that works with each
and it just
player.
works.
Yeah, no, you build it up, and that's why the juniors and seniors tend to really perform really well, because you've just developed that language. It's more seamless, and in the beginning, it takes time.
Well, I asked two of your players this, and maybe you'll have one off the top of your head, but is there a Rubenism, I would like to call it, that you like to say on the court or to your guys all the time? Is there like a phrase or like a common saying or action that you do towards the guys every day?
Geez. I mean, it depends on what we're working on. I mean, they know we speak a lot through what we do with our drills and how we put practices together. I really think it's specific to each of the players. Okay. I'm big on working on the volleys and coming forward. In terms of any specific sayings or phrases, most of the time it's you've been trust what you've been working on. You've been here before. You know what to do. Okay. And just reminding them of all the work that they've put in, and to just withdraw that here on match day. I just think big speeches and lots of overcoaching in match day, I think is not as effective. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a couple things that each player probably we repeat. Danny said you had good one-liners that you like to say. Geez, I don't know. Maybe they come to me. I don't have any off the top of my head. It's I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's a good question. Well, Ronan also said that he liked one of the things that you said with life is not just a straight line on a graph. It's not just straightforward. It's there's a lot of peaks and valleys, and there's a lot of learning along the way. And for you, what's one of the things from that you tell your guys about being a mentor? Well, we talk about this in the beginning of the year. That's one of the first things we show them, and it's not, life does not go in a straight line, and there's going to be setbacks, and I think it's just setting expectations are really important, and recognizing how hard this is, how many good teams there are. Yeah. I mean, I think that's been, just the quality of college tennis is so good, and so you want to make sure they're understanding that this is hard.
Yeah.
And I think we do talk about that a lot. That's the one-liner. When is it easy?
Never.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Danny did say that. That was the one that he said too.
That one we do over and over again. It's up on the walls usually.
I love that.
And just reminding them that this is such a process. And I think when you just stick with that, and you layer on good practice after good practice, year after year, you start leveling up, and then you buy in because you're improving and it's working. And so that's sort of how you build the confidence in the game and in the coaching staff and as a team.
So if you were to give a piece of advice to kids that are trying to get recruited, that are trying to get to a program like this, not just academically, but tennis-wise as well, what's one piece of advice you have given a parent, or that you would give parents that are currently in this process?
Well, I mean, I would give the advice probably to the kids, but mostly the parents. I think for the parents, it's the more that you can put the responsibility on the young person, and the better.
Okay.
As you learn to grow and you take ownership of this process, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
And the parents should be, hopefully, the coach is directing the show and the parents are helping. And it does take a whole family. I mean, we can't pretend like it doesn't. Certainly tennis requires the travel, it's resources, it's 6-7 days a week. There's no holidays because you're always going off to the tournaments, when school's out of session. So it does take that dedication from parents, but hopefully, the young, boy or girl can really make it their own, and those are the kids that usually are the ones that stand out and tend to really get better. If you're sort of waiting for the coach and your parents to tell you what to do, you lose a little agency in that. We find that the kids that sort of grab hold of it, we talk a lot about finding your mission.
Yeah.
And I would say that would be my advice. Find your meaning in this, find your mission, and then really just lean in to figuring out how you can get better. And once you sort of get that curiosity, once you have the drive, the world will be there to meet you.
So that self-sufficiency is kind of a big selling point when either a player introduces them to you or they reach out.
They take a lot of responsibility and accountability for their game.
Okay.
And they take ownership, and those are huge. Those are probably the number one thing I would say is the determinant of your success. There's a lot of different body types, there's a lot of different game styles, but that's the through line with really successful people that we see here, is people that really just grab a hold of an idea or their tennis game, and they're not going to let go, and they want to get better, and then they find ways. So I think motivation and those things are key. Now I think you can develop that to some degree, right? But the more you open yourself up to it, I think that's the engine that drives this.
And for you too, as a recruit, if they were to send you, and just off the top of my head, if they send you a video, like a recruiting video, what's the number one thing that stands out to you as a coach? What would be, okay, I'm interested. What's the catching point?
I don't think I think everyone's different. You want to, listen, you're looking at your level, you're looking at what your rating is, you're looking at those things. You're looking at the scores, how close, what do your matches look like? Are you a problem solver? How do you do in 3-set matches? You're looking at, you're looking at some technical, you're looking at movement. I'm certainly looking at, can you move? Do you have wheels? Well, that's harder to coach. So you want to hopefully have a good engine there.
If you're just really fast, you fit in on this team.
Anywhere, and that helps. You're looking at, you're checking a couple of, most of the time you're trying to just you're putting them in buckets, right?
Yeah.
Coaches, we work in buckets. Like, this is my top tier level recruit, this is a middle one, and this is probably a lower level, this is probably a long shot. And so in the beginning, you're just doing very basic, sort of categorizing. So you're not thin slicing it at that point.
Yeah.
You're just seeing where the results are, where their level is, and the levels are going up and down, week to week, even on our team. So you don't want to make big pronouncements, but you're trying to figure out where they fit. So most of the time you're sort of yeah, maybe you watch a video and there's a couple things that concern you. Okay, that's maybe one pile, or this thing. Look, this looks really good. We'll put them here. Let's keep looking. But those are usually just sort of a first blush assessment.
Okay, so you kind of look more in depth of once you start looking at the results, not just the video.
Over time.
Yeah.
Results. The video. I mean, we'll look at that, but it's not usually the defining thing we're doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
you want to see people in person. You want to see them play as well, and so you got to use all those.
So what's been, in your opinion, with the NIL, with the transfer portal, has that changed your perspective on coaching, or has that changed the shape of college tennis? Because it definitely has in the big sports, with, not saying tennis isn't big, but with basketball, with football, with all that going on. Has that changed the outlook of how people are recruited now in the world of college tennis?
I mean, I think it's coming, it's happening, so it's certainly a factor. I still think people want a great school, they want good coaches, they want a good community, they want to get better. That's still the driver. Money's in terms of NILs are coming, so that's I can't pretend that that's not there.
It's not a reality.
Yeah, but I think the players that are interested here are looking at, okay, what's my we talk about Harvard not being a 4-year decision, but a 40-year decision, because it can shape and change your life.
I like that.
And so those are the kind of people that are drawn to us in our program. Yeah.
And for you too, if you were, because you've already made a staple, you've already you've established yourself here for so long, you've done so well, had success. What would be considered a successful career to you here at Harvard? Because people measure success very differently.
Yeah.
How do you define success?
I think it's we all know as coaches sort of what kind of talent you have to start, and then do you advance the ball? Do you get them better? Where do they end up? It's nice making the NCAA tournament. It's nice doing well. It's nice being in the top 20. But every year is a little different, and I think we're really proud of just the kids are coming. They're invested, they're getting better, they're accomplishing a lot. And, most of it's just sort of dependent on, where the students and their level is.
Yeah.
So I've had years where we haven't done that well, and I felt like it's been some of our best coaching.
Okay.
And really maybe some of the most seasons I'm most proud of. So, as a coach, every year is a little bit different, and it is, it's always changing. That's what's so exciting, and that's maybe what's also maybe gives me some gray hairs. But every year is different, and it's definitely demands a lot of you, which is kind of the big challenge and what makes it what's so exciting.
It makes it more fun.
And it's just there's so many good teams. So on that level, we've seen you don't have a good day, you lose. So it's really been college tennis couldn't be in a better spot, I think, in terms of both the competitiveness. I think a healthy ecosystem is just players and upsets and parity, which I think is happening in college tennis, and then you've got also the success of college players going on the pro tour, which has been remarkable. So in some ways, this is probably a golden era again for college tennis.
Did you see yourself, if you were to look back, did you see yourself doing this?
No.
For the longevity of time?
No, I didn't even think I wanted to be a coach.
Really?
No, I didn't like. It's ironic because I wanted to be I thought I wanted to be a teacher,
Okay.
So I thought
for what type of class?
I don't know, maybe an English teacher or something at one point, but. I played so much tennis that I just needed to get away from it. So it was like the last thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to go to the courts again. So I took 4 years, in grad school to just get away, which I needed. And now it's actually kind of a perfect fit. I was actually a psychology major here at Harvard, and it's, I feel like I use that every day.
Love that.
In terms of like, that's an important part of the coaching business. And so I don't know, this life sort of has a way of working out, and I think coaching really pulls and draws on a lot of parts of myself that I get to use, and I think it's really fun and challenging.
I love that. And if you were to say for this to be a successful season, what would that be? It already is. Yeah,
I mean, it is a successful season, and then to see how far we can take it, and we'll see where. The season goes from here, but we're definitely, players are building, they're playing some of their best tennis, that's what you want by May, hopefully you're peaking in May, and we're going to be excited to be in the tournament and try to make a run.
I can't wait. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Coach.
All right.
Thank you.
No, thank you.